Sana Mittal, and I'm the Talks team co-head at Warwick India Forum. And I welcome to you to the VIF Vichar 2021 episode. Today we have with us the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, Mr. Manish Sisodia. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Sana. Thank you very much for inviting me here.
For those of you who don't know, Mr. Manish Sisodia is an Indian politician and the Deputy Chief Minister of the Government of Delhi. He has been the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi since February 2015. He is also elected as the MLA from Patparganj constituency, and in the Government of Delhi, he holds the portfolios of education, higher education, technical education, finance, planning, excise, GST, vigilance, service, tourism, land and building, art, culture, and language. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here and talk to you.
Thank you, sir. The pleasure is all ours. To begin with, sir, I think let's sort of start with discussing the crisis faced by the country right now and Delhi especially because of the second wave of COVID-19. So there was a lot of helplessness that was assumed during this time, and many critics have criticized the government's way of handling the situation. But how do you think the situation was handled by the Delhi government? And also, how does the Delhi government plan to face a potential new challenge in the near future so we are not faced with a similar crisis?
I would say that let's admit that the crisis that we have faced or we are facing is really unprecedented. Uh, it's not about a city or a country. The entire world has never visualized such a situation that there would be a time when the entire world would be suffering, would be worried, scared of a virus, and everything would be, I mean, we would require to shut down everything, starting from flights to trains to buses to markets to life. Everything will come down. And the scale, I mean, most of the time governments are prepared at different level for disaster managements. But the kind of scale this virus is creating for disaster, no government is prepared. And no, I doubt any government can ever be prepared for such a crisis when everything is on stake. Every second house is having a patient or is scared and is at risk at least. So we have seen the most progressive countries also, we have seen the developing countries also, we have seen Indian states, villages, and the cities in Delhi also. I can say that in first round we were fortunate, I can say, uh, because India got the pandemic wave little at later stage after China and US and then some European countries, and then it came to India. So we got some time to understand. We got some time to gauge the problem, and by the time it reached India and it scaled up, we were ready with some sort of infrastructure, some sort of at least know-how about it. But when this second wave came, we were having it was a different thing. We knew what PPE kit is, who makes it. There was PPE kits available, testing kits were available in the market. Some methodologies to treat COVID patients were there. But again, this time the scale was such a big, manifold than initial time, that you can imagine in Delhi last time the peak day was of 8,000 cases. But this time, for several days, it was like 27, 28,000 every day. For almost, you can say, more than 6, 7 days, the number of cases was about 27,000 every day. This many new cases were adding. And because the number of cases was so much, so number of serious patients was also proportionally high. So we ramped up the hospital infrastructure. In the beginning of this wave, we were having almost 6,000 beds in our hospitals for COVID. But when it came, we scaled up to 22,000. But again, there's a limit of infrastructure. There's a limit of the material that are needed, the medicines and all these things. So the limit was touched. So I wish we could have done more. I wish that if the times go back somehow, we can do more. Yes, we understand and we know we could have done better. But I can say that there are a lot of things to be learned. Preparedness in terms of public awareness, in terms of hospital management, everything we are learning on every front.
Yes. I think that's absolutely correct. And I think this pandemic has not just brought about questions about healthcare or about how we can manage such a situation, but also more important questions about things like education. And especially, I think there is a lot of debate going on about the board examinations, which are considered very important in our country. So, what, according to you, in the issue with board exams in today's context and under normal circumstances, can the government be of help to the students, or how can we sort of better the situation for the students?
I think this is the problem that we are facing today is, as I said, unprecedented. So we have to think of unprecedented solutions also. We can't just keep pulling ourselves that this is how we have been doing so far. This is the way, this is the rule, this is the convention that we have been doing. We have to come out of conventional methods. That's the basic line our government is working. But unfortunately, at federal level, this is not being seen. I have been requesting federal government that we should take care of the situation. We should understand that this situation is not a normal situation. We have to think out of the box. We have to solve this problem by thinking out of the box solutions. We I have been a big advocate of examination reforms also. I have been saying before pandemic also that this practice of judging a student based on a 3 year examination after 1 year of study is not a fair examination system. We have to change it, and the world has moved ahead. Now again, when we are facing pandemic situation and we are facing lockdown, and the conditions are not in favor of attending schools for kids, we are forcing them to come to the school and have offline examination. I think we are living in 21st century. Century solutions. This is not acceptable. I have been opposing this. We can devise so many. Chhattisgarh has done. They have given answer sheet and the question paper to the students and told them that come, come to us within 5 days with a complete answer script. That's another way. They say that we are designing a question in a way that a student can't copy from the books. Goa IIT has just evolved a method where they are offering the student for evaluation that you design your own question and you design the answer then, and we'll judge you not based on your answer only. We'll judge you by the quality of your question also. That's a fantastic method. So we can come. I mean, we can devise a lot of solutions. The world has moved ahead long back. We are stuck to this 3 year examination system. I'm not in favor. I'm opposing it, and I hope people listen this, that at this tough time we should not push our students, we should not push our kids for schools.
Right. So, talking about education reforms, based on the Delhi government's educational reforms, particularly the transformation in public schools, which has been so apparent, where do you see public schools vis-a-vis the private schools in Delhi now? And do you think any average parent in Delhi will have more confidence now in sending their kids to a public school rather than choosing for a highly priced private school?
I won't say that all the parents can feel confident, but yes, I have met thousands and thousands of uh, parents in Delhi who are feeling more confident about the government school system now. And not only they are feeling confident, I know a lot of people who have actually taken a decision in their family, who have shifted their wards from a private school to a government school. So this is the evidence of the confidence that people are getting now. But this all will take time. It was a legacy. India was a great country for having a good government school at one point of time. And most of the people who are decision makers today, who are influencers today, are product of government school systems only. But unfortunately, in last 20-25 years, we have seen the time when government schools came down, and private schools, especially set up by the same people who were supposed to make good government school, have actually um, uh, came up in the system, in the market, in the need, in the quality. So and on the simultaneously, the people who were responsible to improve the quality of government school system actually were not doing their duty honestly and with intelligent intelligently. So all of us suffered because of that. It will take little more time, but yes, parents are getting more confidence into government school system. That there are evidence. I'm not just saying it because I am the minister, but since lots of parents are shifting their their kids to government school from private school, but a lot of reforms are needed. And I'm not against private schools also. Private schools are also needed, are the hard reality of the day. But what I visualize it that the quality of government school and a private school should be equal. There could be more facilities in a private school. Parent may choose that will pay more for those facilities. That's fine. But quality of education should be there in all schools.
Right. Absolutely. I think, and with this similar thought, you've also advocated for a Delhi state board. So, how will a decision for having a separate New Delhi state board help the students in Delhi as compared to maybe the other states and be beneficial to start for the students, especially in this time?
Actually, yeah, as I said, with respect to pandemic answer, the same answer comes here because I have been advocating for examination reforms because the education system in India, especially the government school system in India, needs a lot of reforms. This includes the good quality school buildings, better environment, better teacher trainings, better curriculums. But at the end of it, everything depends on the examination system. Right now, in most of the boards in India, the pattern that is being followed in examination is a rote learning examination. We teach a student for for 1 year, and then at the end of it, we take one examination for 3 hours, largely 3 hours, and most of this is based on rote learning. In our books, in our policies, we talk about that there should not be rote learning. The education should be more context based, more practical, more understanding based. But unfortunately, if we do not judge the teaching, the understanding by different method, then how can a teacher standing in a class will teach in a different way? So that's why we want to change this whole education system. And the root cause of the whole education system is examination system. So we are setting up this new board in Delhi, which will make sure that the rote learning practice in class can we can do away with that.
So, since we're talking about getting these new reforms into place, there are also challenges that the students of today will face in the future, primarily because of the pandemic and because of the unprecedented situation that the pandemic has created for the boards. So, what steps can the government take to prepare today's children for the future challenges that they might face?
I think first of all, appropriate behavior is very important because knowledge of science, knowledge of mathematics or language is a different thing for, I mean, if you see them as a skill, but using that knowledge of science or literature or society in your own life is very important. Uh, when situations like this come, then appropriate behavior for society also and for yourself also it's very important. So education has to make sure it should ensure that anybody who is getting education after say 12 years of education, school education, should be equipped enough to handle the situation. If the time is saying that you should wear mask, you should actually, whoever you are or whatever you do, but you should wear mask. If the situation is demanding that you should maintain social distancing, then you should. At least we can expect the educated mass to follow that. Unfortunately, we have seen that in recent time, especially in this transit time between first phase and the second phase of the pandemic in India, we have seen that not only uneducated but most educated masses we have seen have not been behaving in not with following COVID protocols. So all these things need to be taught and ensure that any education person, any educated person who is coming out of education should actually know what is good and what is wrong, but not only should know, but should also implement in his or her life.
Right. Sir, I think the qualities that you're talking about are also advocated in the new education policy that has been coming up in India. So, how do you think such a new education policy will benefit students, and will help enhance the quality of education for them and make them equipped to have skills that they can use in the 21st century?
Actually, new education policy is talking about a lot of good things, but the problem is that these good things can't be implemented unless we have a roadmap for that. These are the good things that we all have been talking about them in education system. Not us. I mean, when we say we, it doesn't. I doesn't mean. I don't mean. I don't mean government of Delhi only. Entire education fraternity, all the governments, all the people who are involved in education have been talking about that education should have this, education should have that, education should be like this, should be like this. But unfortunately, we have been just talking. And here also we are just talking. If we could have a roadmap, and for that roadmap, we need to have clear understanding what is happening on the ground, why it is happening, why these things are not happening, because just it's not that we are not talking, we were not aware that the education should not be rote learning. Education should be based on the understanding the course, the basic concept should be clear to the student. When were we saying that it should not be like this? But unfortunately it's not happening. Then we should know why it's not happening. The education policy should actually tackle that minor part. You can just paint the entire picture and say this is done, this is not done. We have to find out the reasons why it was not happening. If we can find out and then give a policy that this is the policy, now we'll solve this, this was not being solved because of this, then we solve it. So good thing, good policy, but without a roadmap, without a plan.
Right. I think on that note, is there anything, a small message that you would like to give to young people in India and outside as to how they can deal with the challenges they that they face right now and that they face in the future?
uh, I would request everybody who is getting education that you must be having a lot of dreams. You must be having your career dreams, your economic, socio-economic position dreams, the designations you must be thinking of, that one day I'll become a CEO of this company or set up my own company or hold this post in government, whatever you must be thinking. These are dreams for based on your skills. You should dream about your own challenge on your own evolvement also. How are you going to evolve? Where are you standing in terms of your thoughts, in terms of your behavior, in terms of your own way of living today? You should make a list of that for your own self, not to tell others, not to write on blogs, not to make a status of WhatsApp or Facebook or Instagram, but just for yourself. Note down. And then think that what will happen to this list after 6 months? What I want to see in this list after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? And connect that to your education. You are not getting a science education just to become a scientist or engineer only or a doctor only. You are getting science education so that every student who is studying science, at least up to school level and up to certainly at some university level also, to have some scientific approach in living. Are you adopting that? If you are not adopting that, then why are we teaching you science? Why are we teaching you literature? Why are we teaching you social science, environmental science, if you are not actually adopting that into your life? Just for skills, just for jobs, just for showing off, it's not going to work. So I hope that every person who is studying in a school or college would make a wish list for his own development, for himself or herself, not for others. Most of the time we depend, we make a list of the development that we want to change ourselves for others, for the world. But for ourselves, what we want to change should be also, it should be clear to us also. That's it.
Thank you so much, sir. It was an honor talking to you. Thank you so much for taking out the time. And I think all
Thank
I
you, Sana. Thank you. It was lovely talking to you. Best wishes to all the persons who are watching this. Thank you.
thank you so much, sir.